BGRT Gaming Podcast, episode 677, recorded on February 27th, 2023.
Welcome to the 677th edition of the TD Gaming Podcast and 510th episode of Video Game Roundtable. I am TJ Denzer.
I am Scott Dirk.
And I am Jonah Falcon.
The VGRT Gaming Podcast focuses on game news from around the industry.
So, I've been playing two new games. Well, not new for a lot of people. First, I've been playing Settlers of Catan, the new version for console. It's okay. It's just okay. It has room for improvement, which I'm sure they will. The other game I've been playing is NBA 2K23, since I finally got it on GameFly. Jesus Christ, have they gotten worse.
Is the Settlers of Catan multiplayer?
Yeah, it has online and offline multiplayer, yes. It's based on a board game, for those who don't know. It's one of the first Euro games that really hit it big here. Started with Settlers of Catan, then Tickets to Ride, and then it just took off from there. So, NBA 2K23, I can't believe how fucking stupid this game is.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and they finally gave the game away. They finally gave it away. You know what they want? They want to be Saints Row. Because I can't believe the amount of skateboarding that the game wants you to do in my career. It wants you to do ollies, it wants you to grind, it wants you to do tricks on... This is an NBA player... Why am I doing this? And then at one point, I have to wear a hot dog hat and go around telling people about this hot dog store. What the fuck?
But is Jake from State Farm there to cheer you on?
Yeah. It is embarrassing. They finally gave the game. They want to have Saints Row. That's the only explanation. Because I feel like I'm playing a combination of Saints Row and Pokemon. And oh, by the way, the fact that they have a map of a city in your office and you're supposed to conquer regions? Really? NBA is taking influence from Ubisoft? Which we find out is a big mistake. Because one of the news items that I just posted that happened today is about Ubisoft. It's just mind-boggling how bad this is. And the predatory nature of the VC, If you read the comment section of the Xbox store, so many 1-star reviews, 1 and 2-star reviews. People are just fed up. Unfortunately, they're not fed up enough. Okay.
Yeah, because they keep buying it and then they keep spending tons of money on the Ultimate Teams thing.
Yeah, here's the thing. Not only should you not buy NBA 2K24, but don't watch any streamers, because those are the people who buy this thing. They're the only people who buy this, so that you can go watch them stream. I also downloaded Madden, which is on Xbox Game Pass now, or at least EA Play. And I have to note, that is the current version of Madden that they put on EA Play. Which tells me not enough people are buying DLC for their like, or maybe they're just trying to get the last scraps of people. I haven't played it yet. I know it'll be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, they as long as they keep selling, they have little reason to improve or change their formula.
Now, did you see the trailer for EA's new golf game?
I have not.
Okay, I will say this. It looks fucking promising. It looks really, really good. And, of course, the thing that pops into my mind, well, of course they have to. They have competition from 2K. 2K has a golf game, too. Look what having competition does to the quality of a game.
Yeah.
Remember when EA had competition with Konami for FIFA and soccer? Anyways, tomorrow, MLB The Show debuts. I don't have that much confidence in it. But at least since it's on Game Pass, I don't have to pay for the thing.
Wait, a new MLB The Show comes out tomorrow?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it's been as advertised as usual, because I don't really remember seeing much of it.
Maybe I'm getting myself confused right now. Oh no, it's March 28th. Never mind.
Okay.
But there is a game. There is a game coming out tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. A lot of stuff coming out tomorrow that I'm looking for. So, anyway, what have you been playing, TJ?
I've been trucking along in Wild Hearts. I love that game. It's very beautiful. It's the type of Monster Hunter game I want, where it's not like all the talent and grind and effort is still there, but like they streamlined so many elements, such as like the multiplayer menus aren't terrible, the tools and items are not terrible, and it just feels fun to be in that world. Like I love grind. I actually love, like, even if I'm fighting a lot of the same monsters to get certain gear like I would in Monster Hunter, it feels so much faster, so much more satisfying, and like doesn't frustrate me as much with all of the silly and annoying and cumbersome controls. I really am. I'm trying to push my way towards like some late game stuff and get to like some of the hardest hunts in the game.
Okay, now I remember what was coming out soon, and I'm wondering if you're interested in this. I know a lot of people are. Are you interested in Wolong Fallen Dynasty?
I am a little bit. It looks neat. I don't
I'm getting
know if
some
I'm
positive feedback from people who actually played it.
I don't know if I'm going to pick it up on day one, but it might be something I pick up after the fact, unless I work on it for coverage.
For those who don't know, Wolong Fallen Dynasty is the new Souls-like, and I've seen it played. It seems a little jankier, like it's a AA game, not a AAA game, but it looks great, and it is supposed to be really hard but fair.
Yeah, I'm hearing that it had some performance issues on PC, but like console has been pretty good. And even for the performance issues, people were saying that it's still fun enough that it's like they can look past some of this stuff.
How about you, Scott? What have you been playing?
I've been playing Octopath Traveler 2.
Okay, again. So.
What do you mean again? It just came out.
I thought you were playing the demo, or.
Yeah, I did play the demo, and now I was able to transfer my save to the main game.
That's cool.
And I've been doing everybody's chapter 1. I've gotten 7 of the characters so far. And it's interesting because a lot of the characters can do a different action depending on the day or night. And some of them it's a little strange. Like you have this honorable warrior, Hakari, who can, I think it was during the day he can challenge people to learn skills, but at night he can go around bribing people. So he can there was one funny moment I had where I went into a merchant's house or store and I took out the money out of their chest and then immediately bribed them to get information from them. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then there's the other characters. The thief can knock people out during the night and steal from them during the day, and they get a percentage chance, and if they get caught, it's supposed to hit their reputation, but I don't see it happening as clear as it was in the first game, so it doesn't seem like you get as punished as you did in the first game, because you could just, like I said, the wizard or the scholar can scrutinize during the day, but then he mugs people at night, and there's no consequences for mugging someone. You mug them and they could chat up with them like nothing happened at all. Man, so it's really been an improvement. The graphics have improved immensely. I can't believe it has, but yeah, they do a different camera now when you do a maxed out action and the camera spins and you see the character attack the monster, the boss, and now the bosses are animated. Their image, the pixel sprite is animated, and even some of the other monsters and mobs get animated attacks as well. You can do a limit break now with the characters. It charges up, and you get a special ability. So they have a lot of improvements on the game, and I'm enjoying it. And if you like the first game, you'll probably love this game too.
My colleague was saying that it's an early front runner for maybe best soundtrack of the year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Octopath Traveler, the first one, took about 60 hours to complete. Does it look like it's going to be a long one for you here with this one as well?
Yes, absolutely, definitely.
And by the way, that's 60 hours in the main story. I mean, according to things, it's 100 hours if you're a completionist.
Yeah, if you're doing all the side quests.
By the way, speaking of RPGs, I did get back into Darkest Dungeon. The first one, not the second one. I thought I'd give it another chance, and I'm getting deeper into it this time.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Darkest Dungeon, come on.
Darkest Dungeon. I was distracted by something silly, but you're playing the first one?
Yeah, I'm playing the first one again. Yeah. I had the second one, and I haven't started it yet. No, I did not beat the first one yet. The thing is, I started it, and I never got around to it. It wasn't that it was too hard. It was just that I just didn't have the time, and now I'm getting back into it.
I understand that last end of the first one is very, very, very brutal.
I would imagine.
Due to the fact that, like, the main boss can straight up kill off one of your characters.
Yeah.
And then once you finish the dungeon, if you do finish the dungeon by some shred of hope, then none of the characters that went in there that time will go back in there again.
I've been playing Deep Rock Galactic as well, and I've been mostly doing the engineer. So I got the engineer up to level 18. So I decided, I'm going to level up some of the other guys, So I tried the driller, and the driller sucks solo. Because he has no real, he can use the drill to make tunnels, but he really doesn't have a good way to traverse,
Not as good as the others, I would say. But
the engineer has the best, because all he does is shoot out platforms,
That's true.
And that's why I love the engineer.
With the driller, you have to learn how to make stair steps with drills in the walls.
Yeah, and also just drill right through the walls, too. That's one thing about this game is that I think the entire game revolves around the fact that everything is destructible. The entire levels, you can just create your own level if you want to, just by using your fists. I will say this, though. With the driller, if I'm going to use a driller, I'm going to make sure that I have a way to get everywhere preset. So if I'm mining Morkite, I already have a way to get back to the drop pod.
Yeah. I don't know. I main the driller. They're my favorite character because I like the drills and I like the flamethrower.
And you do it solo?
Yeah, no matter what I play the driller because I like their kit.
Yeah, you go on and like their kit. I don't. The engineer is my favorite.
So what I'm saying is that you figure out workarounds with some of that stuff because you kind of have to.
Yeah. I actually earned the SMG to replace the shotgun. I'm okay with it. The only reason why I'm using the SMG now is because even though I maxed out the shotgun's loadout, in terms of the number of ammo you can carry, and it has a nice kick, I think I like being able to just ping guys with the SMG.
Yeah.
I will say this though, I do like the engine. I do like the driller's flamethrower because when the big version of the creatures come out, he says, "Oh yeah, well here's my flamethrowers."
Yep, and you really don't have to target too much with the flamethrower. You can just throw it all around you because it's not as if you. I think you do get a little bit of damage bonus from hitting weak spots, but the whole point is just setting them on fire as fast as possible.
Yeah. Meanwhile, and You probably like his axe as a grenade. I don't. I don't like having to throw the axe and then retrieve it.
I like the explosive charge, the C4 that he gets.
Oh, okay. I'm using for the engineer. I'm using the last grenade. His first grenade is just stupid. It creates a hologram of you that creatures are never fooled by. But the last one is like it just explodes shrapnel, and the shrapnel keeps on rotating until it finds something to hit.
Nice.
I will say this: I did get the power to charm the grunts, but I found that when you're playing solo, it's not a very good idea because what happens is your robot will just shoot them anyway before you can even charm them. I mean, in multiplayer, it might be a good power if you're playing multiplayer and you don't have if you don't have your little floating machine gun turret. And also, ironically, by the way, one of my powers, of course, as the engineer is building a turret, right? And there is an option. You can upgrade it so that you can deploy 2 turrets, but I've never needed to deploy 2 turrets. I used a different option on it. For those who don't know, every single weapon has different levels of upgrades, depending on what level you are, and several upgrades for each level that you have to choose from, one of 3. So, yeah, I haven't tried the 4th one. I mean, I've tried the default one. I forgot his name. And the engineer, of course, and now I'm just leveling up the driller to 10, and then I'm going to try the 4th guy, and then I'll probably go back to the engineer because I like being able to create my own stairs.
Nice.
And oh, by the way, when you're mining the morkite, the liquid morkite, and you have to deal with the pipes, screw it. I just create bridges with the thing. Just put the bridge all the way across, just bypass everything, and just put the pipe on that.
It's not a bad idea. I'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, here's the thing. Maybe we should play, what's it called, Deep Rock Galactic, and you can have your little driller with his flamethrower. I'll have my... the engineer does come with a grenade launcher as a secondary weapon.
Yes.
So, but it's not as effective as the flamethrower. The flamethrower is just death to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we're boring Scott enough with our discussion of Deep Rock Galactic.
That's all right. I'm just playing solitaire while I'm waiting.
So we're going to move on to quick news. Valve lured 40,000 Dota cheaters into a trap before banning them in one day. Today's ban wave is particularly large, but it's the only latest action in an ongoing campaign. You know what it reminds me of is when scofflaws get free tickets to a sports game, and it says you have to go here to pick it up, and then people just pounce on them. He says, "Yeah, you thought you were getting sports tickets? Guess what? Yeah, you have to pay these parking tickets."
That is I don't. I saw this story, but I didn't look into fully how they tricked 40,000 people.
They didn't go into it either. Actually, they didn't. I don't think they'd want to go deep into how they did it.
Yeah, of course not. They don't want to expose their methods.
Probably the same way they got people on the Lost experiment, where they leaked out a cheat, and if you did the cheat, it would tag you as a cheater. And at the end, they said, well, out of the thousands of you that did the cheat, only 4 of you didn't actually do that. But in this case, they just banned everyone that did whatever that cheat was, and then they just, yeah.
They everlasting gobstoppered them?
Like like a code.
I think it's sort of like you go into the forum and say, hey, I got this cheat.
Yeah. And if you do the cheat, then you're tagged, and it's an automated system, and it probably just, sweeps them all in there. So that's probably...
It's an everlasting gobstopper situation.
Yeah.
They actually did that with organized crime. The government did, because a chat that criminals and drug dealers, from across were using was banned.
That's right. I heard about
that. Apple App. So the government came up with one, and they on these chats, they would just not even hide what they were doing. They would just record it all. It's like, yeah, you just are telling everybody what you've been doing, and that's their evidence, baby. So Yeah. Moving on, Nvidia predicts AI models 1 million times more powerful than ChatGPT within 10 years. I've been using ChatGPT a lot, actually. I enjoy talking to it. It's very personable. I enjoy talking to it, and one of the things is I'm writing a screenplay, and I've been telling him about my screenplay and telling him what I'm doing, and he's making comments, and then I would say something. Well, what would this character say? And he would come out with 10 things that a character might say, and they're all good.
Interesting.
It is really powerful. That, by the way, that's why I don't know if you read this, but there's a sci-fi magazine, a small one, that said that for decades, they would have like 30 or 40 fake, plagiarized stories, and now it's gone up to like hundreds of thousands of them because people are just using ChatGPT to write stories for them. People are lazy.
That is funny. Like it on one level, like ChatGPT and stuff like that is interesting. It's curious. It's neat. On the other hand, it is unnerving how fast
I agree.
large companies are pushing to get their version of it out the door and integrate it into important things.
Well, this is what I would love to see. Imagine playing an RPG in which you have an intelligent GM or DM.
Yeah, that kind of application is cool. The idea
having a pen and paper game online, and your DM is an intelligent chatbot, which is even more intelligent. I mean, the only reason why it's failing the Turing test for me is because it feels the need, and I think it's not because it's the AI, but it's being forced to summarize what it's talking about. It'll say, well, if you're talking about an MMO and massively multiplayer online, in parentheses MMO, is a thing where blah blah blah. It tells you everything, and it's like you can tell that's being forced on it by the developer just to restate everything. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it continues along. I'm just unnerved by how. I think one of the things that bothers me about it the most is that like it's large corporations trying to get in on a trend, and when that's the case, it's never anything like. It's never about doing it responsibly. It's never about doing it rationally or feasibly.
It's doing it as cheap as possible.
As cheap as possible, and is like get on board and make sure that our version of that is out there.
Yeah. There's a bill that keeps on bouncing around which says that all decisions made has to have human curation, in which an AI cannot make a decision without a human okaying it. Because we see what happens on YouTube.
I mean, at least there is still that law that only a human can copyright something, so there's no AI ability to copyright something, because I know that monkey with the selfie was a big case about that. So I think this would apply as well, that they wouldn't be able to copyright something in AI generated.
Yeah, but like I said, the one thing I'd like to see is how it applies to video games and to have actual conversations that are realistic. That are fluid. Imagine playing Mass Effect, in which instead of choosing, a thing, you just write in what your character says, and the characters react to it. Imagine a role-playing game that's like that.
It'd be very interesting.
More people are playing Sons of the Forest on Steam than Hogwarts Legacy. This is kind of dated because the co-op survival game is now available in early access, and it already has 250,000 concurrent. It actually went live, and it is making blockbuster sales. This is out of nowhere. I had not even heard of this a week ago.
Wow. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, this game came out of nowhere. I had no idea that it existed. And then I saw a story, like, maybe 2 days ago that said it sold over 1 million copies for an indie. That is insane. That is absolutely insane.
This is basically Cannibal Holocaust as an MMO or a live service game, really. That's all it is. It's Cannibal Holocaust.
I have no idea what that is, but like.
So for those you don't know, it's a survival horror game. It's an open world survival horror game in which you're trying to find a missing billionaire on a remote island, and you're being attacked by cannibals all over the place, hordes and hordes of cannibals. So you have to do the usual survival stuff like build a house, start a fire, do this, do that, and fend off cannibals. It's Minecraft for adults. I will say this, though. If you ever watch videos of it, it looks really good. I mean, when you're building a house, you're building a log cabin. It really looks like you're building a log cabin.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's like Grounded for adults.
Oh, wow. Some of this stuff is really pretty. Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm going to call it Grounded for adults.
That seems apt. Oh, yeah, I think I've seen this before. Wait, no, I remember seeing... Okay, is this related to a game that's just called The Forest, or is it a different game entirely from that?
This is a different game.
It is similar to that. It's made by the same developers.
Okay. And I'm just saying that this game has just exploded.
Okay. It makes more sense to me.
It's still in early access. I thought it was released, but it isn't. It's still in early access.
It makes a little bit more sense to me. Not that not the million selling thing, but this is a sequel to another game that's just called The Forest.
Anyway, it looks beautiful. The construction, everything looks realistic as far as video game is concerned. When you're building your log cabin, it's like it isn't like teleporting there. It's like you have to lay it down and stuff.
The character models are pretty good, too.
Moving on. This is kind of predictable, but EA is already considering Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 remakes. I know you love the Dead Space remake, the first one. I played the first part of it. And since I can't even remember what happened with Dead Space, I do know that Isaac Clarke was never talked in the first one. So that's definitely different. And the characters are not as edgy as they were before. And by edgy, I mean assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're more human in their way they talk. They discuss things now. They don't hurl accusations at each other. And Isaac is contributing to the conversation. Go ahead, TJ. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, the female character, what's her name?
She's not a cunt, yes.
She's a big jerk in the original.
Yeah.
And all the way to the end. And she actually has quite a few moments of empathy throughout this version.
Well, she's not hurling accusations and being freaked out about everything.
She's being affected by the ship the same as the marker, the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So there's moments of her second guessing what she's seen, and then parts where she loses track of herself. And
even before all that, when you first get in the station, it's not like she's a lot more calm and reacting to events rather than just being pissy all the time.
Yeah.
And I like Isaac's talking when he would have been talking in the first one. What's it called? When they're bouncing off all the technical stuff, Isaac will talk about the technical stuff because that's his job.
The regenerator creature that chases you throughout much of the game is also way more fleshed out and both creepy and interesting narrative ways.
I will say this though, playing on PC made the game a cakewalk. Makes the game a cakewalk. When you're doing keyboard and mouse, it's a lot easier to deal with the necromorphs than it was with a gamepad. But yeah, it's satisfying to Goomba stomp the necromorph.
Yes to Dead Space 2 remake, no to Dead Space 3 remake.
Well, here's the thing.
Let it die.
Here's the thing. They are probably going to change it. They changed the first one. So
I don't mind that. Dead Space 2 is a great game and has plenty of opportunity to do exactly what they did with Dead Space 1. Dead Space 3 sucks. It's an action game top to bottom and doesn't feel there's no tension in it for me.
Well, there's never tension when you're playing a co-op game. So
yeah.
Anyways, moving on. There's now Tunic plushie available, and As you can see, it is cute.
That is awesome. I saw that, and it has little magnets in the hands so it can hold the shield and the sword. That's a cool little toy.
Have you played it yet? Have you played Tunic yet? Have you played Dark Souls Zelda yet? Because that's basically what Tunic is. It's Zelda married with Dark Souls.
And a little bit of Mist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you played it, TJ?
Yeah, I played it. I played it last year when we were talking about
okay.
all the Game of the Year stuff.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I finally got around to it.
Okay. I still like Super Lucky's Tale, so there.
I haven't beaten it yet, but I will maybe get there someday.
I've gotten halfway and I just gave up because it got way too hard. Anyways, we're going to move on to game news now. We were going to talk about State of Play, but some stuff came up that sort of dwarfed it, so I'll be talking about it later. The first news item we're going to talk about is next Civilization game officially announced by Firaxis. Kinda, sorta. Firaxis officially announced that a new Civilization game is in development at the studio. Revealed alongside the announcement that former CEO Heather Hazen will be the new studio head, Firaxis didn't confirm whether or not it would be the seventh in the mainline series or if it would be a spin-off of Beyond Earth. Fans have been patiently waiting for the confirmation of a new entry for 7 years following the launch of Civilization VI in 2016. The studio has since been worked with its other premier strategy franchise in the XCOM Chimera Squad, and most recently tried something brand new with Marvel's Midnight Suns, both of which are really, really good. If you haven't tried either of them, you should.
Mm-hmm.
Chimera Squad is a nice little breezy, Saturday morning cartoon version of XCOM, but it's fun.
Yeah.
With the announcement only coming now without any mention of a release date, mechanics, or any other game details, it's likely that the new Civilization is still years away. I'm going to guess 2024 or 2025. But it'll seemingly be Firaxis' main focus going forward. The studio will be doing so without one of its leading figures, however, as former creative director of the XCOM franchise and Marvel's Midnight Suns, Jake Solomon, has announced his departure from Firaxis. I can see why they think it might not be Civilization 7, because they're still
releasing Civ 7. They showed a promo picture of Cleopatra with like a 7.
That means nothing. That means nothing. So anyways, so if this is a Civilization 7, what do you think will be new features in it?
I don't know. Did anyone have any problems with 6? Like, was there anything?
It isn't necessarily problems. Although I will say this, I wish you could kill religious units.
What, like, were there any glaring issues though by the end of the DLC?
Yes, religious units. I mean, you'd have Haile Selassie just sending all of his missionaries and prophets and all that stuff into my territory, and there was nothing I could do about it except create my own.
Huh.
And everybody be converting to my religion. I hate that.
I don't know, Scott. What would you want on like a wish list for Civ 7?
I think I would like the corporations that they had in Civ 4 back. I think a satellite layer would be interesting if you could do like stuff with satellites in space, through like espionage and other things with it. Let's see. I mean, because they've done so much, it's hard to think of something that they haven't done.
Maybe they'll allow you to colonize the solar system this time.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. Also worth noting, and not mentioned here, is that Ed Beach, the director of gameplay on Civ 6, is going to be directing the gameplay on this new one. So that's good. Sucks to lose Jake Solomon. I hope he finds something worthwhile for himself, because it sounds like I don't know. He was like talking about the last thing before this story was he was talking about people asking him about XCOM and him not being able to tell them anything about it because he was still working on DLC for Midnight Suns. And then this story came up and he said, I'm done there.
Well, here's the thing. That Civilization fans aren't that bothered by it because 1 and 2 were Sid Meier. 3, was it Soren Johnson who was the lead developer? I'm trying to remember, but almost every Civilization has had a new person. Had a new lead developer. I know Soren Johnson was one of them.
I thought he did 4, but yeah, it's been a different...
Briggs. Oh, no. Ryan Reynolds took over from Sid Meier. And then Soren Johnson took over from Ryan Reynolds. John Schaefer took over from Soren Johnson. And by the way, I know Soren and John personally. They're friends.
I'm just saying, with Ed Beach at the helm, you have somebody that worked on most of Civ 6, handling the leadership of the next one.
Well, here's the thing about Ed Beach. He's a Civilization fan. He's a Civilization fanboy. Civilization 6 was basically the Civilization equivalent of the Sonic game that was developed by fans.
Well, it sounds like it's in good hands. It just bums me out because I love XCOM, and I wonder if Jake Solomon will do anything new.
Hey, Scott, you know this. I mean, when you played Civilization 6, did you feel like, wow, this is like some fans made a really good Civilization game?
Yeah, I mean, each Civ game, I think, has been made by people that really loved and enjoyed the game. So
no, but this is like a fan game, though. Civilization 6 is like a fan game. I mean, you have Soren Johnson who admires it, and John Schaefer who admires it. Ed Beach and the others, they grew up playing it, and they're like fanboys. And we'd like to have these features in it, and this feature, and this feature.
Yeah, because the theme for Civ 6 was about exploration, and so everything was kind of centered around that. I don't know what the theme of Civ 7 would be. It's just, I guess, too early to tell. But
by the way, the other thing is that remember, Civ 6 was the first Civilization in a long while that came out with, and no one said this would be better with expansions. This needs to be improved. No one thought that. Civilization 6 came out ready out of the box.
That's true. We didn't miss certain things. Like, I think in Civ 5, people were missing espionage for a long while. But Civ 6 had that in there, which was good. And then they introduced new things that were not in previous Civ games, like global warming, for instance.
No, just weather. I mean,
yeah, weather.
Okay, so I was looking this up, and here's some stuff that they suggest that could be that Civilization could have. More victory conditions. You have science,
like economic,
religion, score, and and diplomacy. Yeah, I'd like to have more victory conditions. Improving the ocean and river gameplay, and every Civilization and really every 4X game has really struggled with ocean and river gameplay. I mean, maybe the one that didn't was Alpha Centauri, but you could win the game without ever having built a boat.
That makes for an interesting concept. What would it be like? Like, would it be too grim to create a civilization around the idea of, like, the geography drastically change? The geography drastically changes as the ages go on.
Yeah, I mean, Alpha Centauri does that.
And I'm not talking about but I'm talking about civilization. I'm not talking about like the things where like your old structures become ruins for your new generations. I'm talking about like an entire river dries up and you have to find and that city suffers for it. Or like,
I know a game that did that. It was Anno 2070.
Right, but I'm saying, what would that look like in Civ, and would you want that?
I think I would like a Civ game that evolved your civilization drastically like that. You know, maybe you change leaders or you change, your looks or your cultural things, and you really change how your Civ looks and acts, and maybe be more flexible than in other ones, maybe even more customizable.
But I could have sworn that one of them actually, if you wasn't there a game in which if you used nukes, it would raise the global warming of the thing and it would start creating? I know one of them did that.
Because I know in older ones you would get pollution, like in the very first one.
Not only pollution, but you'd also get ocean raising. In Alpha Centauri, if that happened, you have cities that can become water cities.
Right. Like, what if you had a city built on a coast because you played a Civ that was suited to sailing, and then one of your cities was under ocean?
Maybe it was Civilization Test of Time? Maybe it was one of the offshoots of Civilization that did that?
I think it would be cool to do that in like a mainline Civ game where like environmental effects over the course of centuries like actually change the map.
Hey Scott, did you ever play Test of Time?
I think
the
so.
The Activision spinoff.
That's
the one that introduced eco-terrorists and lawyers as units.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Maybe that's what they could introduce as lawyers. There's a unit that Civ hasn't had, lawyers. Dan would love that.
Another thing is that they're always asking for, which civilization never seems to get quite right, and that is better diplomacy.
Yeah, we always have trouble with the AI. You know, either you abuse the AI or the AI acts like a psychopath. You know, it's just, there's got to be a way to spend some money to get us some good AI. Imagine an AI, like we were talking about the chat AI thing, if you had that kind of AI in Civ and you modeled it where it remembers you, or it has better thought processes of, you know, analyzing the situation around them, you know, because it's like, it's weird for a Civ to sit there mocking your army and you're about to launch a spaceship and win the space race, and they don't seem to do anything to stop you from winning the tech race. It's like they don't seem to understand that that's what you're doing.
Another one, and this is related actually, in which civilizations can be more distinct. Right now, the only difference between civilizations in the game are the unique abilities that they get, right? But humankind tried to make it so that we actually had different philosophy. You know, they would have different values, different philosophies, and all that stuff. I didn't like humankind, but at least they tried something different to make the civilizations more unique. But they cheated, actually. They said, well, your civilization is now Egypt. And then it grows up to be United States. You know. But you know what I would love to see is in some of the older civilizations, you know, sometimes if your cities rebelled, it would become a barbarian state or its own state. I would love to see that. I'd love to see the fact that you could have something like, if you're England, you might piss off some of your colonies and they become the United States later in the game.
Yeah, I remember that in older ones. I would conquer a country and half of the cities would turn into a whole different Civ. I remember in Civ, I think it was Civ 4, was what was it? The vassal state got really badly abused. You would start conquering a Civ, and then it would vassal to another Civ, which would bring them into the war. You would finish them off, start fighting them, and then suddenly they would vassal themselves, and then you would finish them off, and then the next, and it would just be this chain of vassalining that just leads you to conquering the whole world.
Unless you had a lot of money, you just buy the city.
Oh yeah, you could do that in Civ 1. I remember doing that a lot.
Civ 3, you could do it up to Civ 3.
Oh, okay.
Just buy the city. Says, yeah, you're mine now. Here's a bunch of money.
Yeah, I think they stopped doing that in Civ 4. It was definitely up to, that was another mechanic that got abused. Actually, something I would like back is the city council from Civ 2. That was a really fun aspect of Civ 2 that was really made it a charming game, and I would like something like that, a city council that talks to you like that, and they talk to each other as well. They interact with each other, and
Sid Meier would always be the culture guy.
Yeah.
The other thing, which that's being suggested that TJ brought up, was they should expand upon natural disasters, and not just global warming, but other stuff. Just make it more interesting. Like a comet hits the Earth.
I mean, what if you have a Pompeii level event where just like an entire area?
Well, you do it. You do it in Civilization 6, but it's not as devastating as it could be, because basically if you have a really large...
See, that's what I'm saying though, is like you got to let me finish. What if you had a Pompeii level event where an entire area that maybe even one or two civilizations were in just became volcanic rock that was like no arid land, no rivers, and everyone had to work around that.
But here's the thing. You know anything about Mount St. Helens, right?
Yes.
So Mount St. Helens is pretty devastating, but 5 years later, there was already life back in the system, and by 10 years, you'd never know that anything had happened there. Remember, civilization goes on a different time scale than we do.
Sure. But I'm saying, like, for a section of the game, that area is just rock, volcanic rock.
That's fertile farmland now. But the thing is that, I think more of a psychological change could be good, in which it's just even just expanding upon it, Anyways, I'm looking forward to Civilization 7, even though I don't play much of 6 much anymore, which is why I haven't gotten the last batch of leaders yet. Just been too busy with other stuff. And that's the other thing that I would like to see. The beginning of a civilization and the ending of a civilization session is always exciting, but the middle always is a slog. That's where they really have to work on civilization. Make the middle of the game less boring.
I thought it was always the end game that was boring to people.
Oh, no. Really? No, the end game is the ending game. It's like you're finally, everybody's starting to attack everybody or do whatever, The middle part of the game, that's a slog. We're going to move on to the next item. Go ahead, TJ.
All right. Beyond Good and Evil 2 studio reportedly under investigation for unprecedented burnout and sick leave. From your
we're talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Remember that game?
It's the it's the Skull and Bones before Skull and Bones.
No, it's in the same room as Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Yeah, that too. Ubisoft Montpellier, the studio behind the extremely long in development Beyond Good and Evil 2, is reporting facing upheaval as it grapples with a labor investigation into unprecedented levels of employee stress and sickness, and the departure of its managing director.
They're saying unprecedented. I mean, is that worse than Team Bondi and L.A. Noire? Wow.
I mean, is it worse than like standard Ubisoft?
No. Well, here's the thing. Did you know anything about the development of L.A. Noire?
Yes.
That prick who ran it, who thought he could scream and yell because he's he has God. To think that something could be unprecedented levels beyond that. I mean, they're horror stories, and 2K was shocked at what was going on there. Anyways, moving on.
As reported by Kotaku, Ubisoft Montpellier, perhaps best known for its work on the Rayman games under former studio founder Mitchell Insel, who departed in 2020 amid claims of toxic behavior, is currently being investigated by Montpellier's Inspection du Travail.
That's French for work. Inspection du Travail.
Oh, my bad. Inspection du Travail. There we go. I did it. Due to an unprecedented. Now I can't even speak English. Due to an unprecedented.
That's what happens when you're in Quebec. See, that's what happens when you're in Quebec.
of developers experiencing burnout and going on sick leave. Kotaku says that the visit resulted in the hiring of a third-party entity, which has now been tasked with interviewing Montpellier employees to provide a full report on the health and well-being of the studio teams, something Ubisoft has now confirmed.
See, it's that bad when the publisher itself says, yeah, there's something going on there.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 was first teased by Ubisoft in 2008, but wasn't heard of again until 2017, with new information on its progress arriving only sporadically since then. It's yet another troubled title for the embattled Ubisoft, which has only just managed to get the Settlers out the door after a tumultuous half-decade of delays, and is still struggling to release Pirate Adventure Skull and Bones nearly 10 years after development.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually, when I was looking through the store, it's like, oh, the Settlers, new allies. And I see all the negative reviews, and it's like, oh. I'll say this. I really like the Settlers series. I just wanted them to get it right, damn it. Settlers is really good. I mean, the series.
Yeah. Uh,
Everything's just going on with Ubisoft, isn't it?
it's a real shame because like there's a bunch of IP at Ubisoft that I wouldn't mind seeing come back in reasonable format. It sucks.
Well, now we know why
them.
Rayman's not coming back.
Yeah, and it sucks to see how mismanaged everything is there.
And the entire English-French language thing going on in Quebec is just killing the company, too. Because now they have to spend all this extra money having everything be bilingual.
Yeah.
When I saw in 2017, I was gobsmacked. I said, that's not Beyond Good and Evil 2. What the hell is going on here? What the fuck is that? You could tell that it wasn't being run by Michael Ansel. As toxic as he may have been, at least he knew how to write a good story.
Yeah. And moreover, like, the most we've seen of Beyond Good and Evil 2 is that CG trailer from way, way back when that, like, showed no gameplay, gave no concept of what we would be doing.
It was just Paige just sitting there underneath an umbrella.
Well, and also just like these scripted CG big money cutscenes that are just like they tell you nothing about the fact that it's even a game, let alone that it's going to have gameplay. Like I would love to see Beyond Good and Evil come out someday. Or Beyond Good and Evil 2 come out someday.
I don't know.
I don't know that I have faith that it's good. I don't know that I have faith in much of anything from Ubisoft.
I'd rather a bad game never get released than, if it's going to be a piece of shit, why even bother? By the way, whenever reviews for a game, and there's the reviews for The Settlers' New Allies, whenever you have reviews with lines like, they never even tried, and this is honestly sad, that just stabs me in the heart, because I want a good Settlers game, damn it. I think the last one they did was The Settlers 7.
Say what you want about Nintendo and its unwillingness to, like, actually play to its strengths sometimes. But at the very least, they've never lost their way about what they think makes a game good and how to make it.
Oh, they've had some stinkers. Please.
Sure, but generally speaking, they put their employees first, they put their workplaces first, and they focus on their core tenets of like how their games should work and how to innovate in that space.
Unless it's Kid Icarus or Star Fox.
Kid Icarus is a freaking beloved game. Kid Icarus
sucks. The DS game
sucks.
Awful. Yeah. Are you kidding
me? You're talking about one of the most desired.
I get that. The game that they put out, the last Kid Icarus game they put out was awful, and they had that special controller.
It was excellent. Awful. It was an excellent game that just required a little bit of extra hardware to play comfortably.
Right now, Paul, wherever he is face palming.
Well, he can face palm only once because it's a good game.
And then you had Star Fox Zero.
Star Fox Zero is, I will give that away. That could have been so much better, but I also think that it could be better if they did look, they just did Metroid Prime as a remaster, and look how much people loved it and how much.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories going on about Metroid Prime remaster, though. Have you seen some of the conspiracy theories that have been swirling around it?
Like what?
Oh, there was some stuff about the direction Nintendo's going with the and they're using it to mask some stuff. I forgot what it is. I have to Google search it. It's not worth looking up now because it's just same conspiracy theories.
I just think that's an example of a game that wasn't bad as was, and then they went and made it better in a lot of ways. Like the graphics look great, the controls are much better, and
because you don't have a shitty controller anymore.
And Kid Icarus Uprising's main problem
was that it sucked.
Was the constraints to which you had to work the controls.
Then why release it on the fucking DS?
Then what do you mean why release it on the DS?
Why release it on a handheld if you have to create a special controller that's really bad to begin with?
It just is what it is. That's what their project was at the time, and they did what they did with what they had. But
what about that? Not the Metroid game that was released by Team Ninja, or no Ninja Team, but that other one, which was a spin-off of Metroid. Remember that one, Metroid, in which you're controlling the soldiers of Metroid without any sort of thing from Samus?
Wasn't that?
It was a handheld multiplayer game.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of it right now. Federation Force? Metroid Federation Force.
Metroid Prime Federation Force, right.
In any case, like, I think that compared to Nintendo, groups like Ubisoft have kind of lost their way. It's not about making a great game anymore. It's about keeping the shareholders happy.
Oh, God. Nintendo has tons of shareholders they have to keep happy. Don't kid yourself with that one.
I will kid myself with that one. Remember they still play to the beat of their own drum.
Remember when the disaster was when their stock dropped and Kiyama had to slice off a finger because to as penance?
Remember when everybody was laying off all their company or all their employees at the beginning of this year, and instead of laying off its employees, employees raises to boost their morale?
I'm just saying Nintendo isn't perfect. Doesn't make perfect games. So get that out of your head.
But they do. I'm not saying they do that. Every game they make is perfect. I'm saying they have
Star
a far
Fox
better
should be the easiest fucking game to make in the world. I mean, Star Fox should be the easiest game to make in the world right now. I mean, space sims are really hot right now, and just making and forget about Star Fox being a rail shooter. Just make it a regular space game. Doesn't even have to be overly complicated. It would make millions.
I mean, they tried once. Technically, they did.
They have to do better.
And people didn't like it, so they went back to the old way.
So we were talking about Ubisoft.
What I'm still gonna stick with that is that like Ubisoft has lost its way. It doesn't know how to make good games anymore. It only knows
because every game is the same right now. It's an
every
open world. It's almost every Ubisoft game coming out is an open world game with a lot of icons on a map and territory control. Boom, that's it.
They're stuck in the attitude of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or they think it's not broken.
Yeah, because people buy these games. See, that's the problem. Please, everybody out there, just for 1 year, do not pre-order anything.
And I mean, it's not a problem that's solely confined to Ubisoft. Ubisoft is just one of the ones that's failing the hardest from it.
No, but here's the thing: Ubisoft, all the other developers make other games. Make other types of games. Ubisoft makes the same game over and over and over again. And when they don't, it's fucking Skull and Bones. And they still go back to the map with icons.
We'll get there, but like 2K, or not 2K, WB Games right now is doing something that pisses me off. And we'll get there, but...
You know what? And the thing is, I'll bet you anything that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is going to be yet another open world game with icons on the map and you have to control territories. That's what it seemed like from the 2017. That's why I'm so disheartened by the Settlers, because it is not that kind of game. It is a what do they call them again? City builder.
Yeah.
And the thing about Settlers and all the previous Settlers was that your city building and occasionally had invaders, but basically it was seeing how complex you could get your city. Yeah. Because you had to organize all these systems, or you're going to mine the rock, you have to send the rock to the smelter, you have to take the smelter, make the blah, 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 blacksmith and all that. All these systems that you had to balance. That was the entire game. It was great. Basically, it was.
Yeah.
What was the name of that free Microsoft XBLA game again that used avatars for it? It was basically a much better version of that. Oh, God, I forgot the name of it. Anyways, we're going to move on. So we're going to talk about the state of play. And I was looking and people gave it a C. And I can understand why, because there wasn't really much there that was, oh my God, wow. So let's talk about the obvious one. Finally have some gameplay for Kill the Justice League.
This is what I was about to get at. Kill the Justice League killed any interest that I had in that game with that last trailer.
It was basically a Borderlands game, folks.
It was DC's version of Marvel's Adventures.
It wasn't. It was Marvel. No, it wasn't like Marvel's Avengers. It's going to be more like Borderlands. But even so,
I mean, you had all these characters that have fucking gear score attached to them.
Yeah.
You're just like,
but
get out of my face with that shit. I'm sick of that.
Here's the one thing you can cling on to. It's still developed by Rocksteady. And Rocksteady knows how to make a fun action game, or at least fun action. We don't know what's wrapped around it, but at least they know how to do that.
Were you worried that you wouldn't be able to play the character that has guns? Don't worry, they all have guns now.
I know.
King Shark running around with a gun, fucking flying through the air. I hated that. I hated everything about that trailer that we saw. It sucked so bad. I didn't hate everything. I liked the story. I hate
coming out May 16th.
The gameplay.
Coming out May 16th. At least you have a date to circle and see what the reviews say. I'm not interested in getting Kill the Justice League. I mean, I had some mild interest because it was Rocksteady, and we'll see what happens.
What a weird thing for Rocksteady, who is so good at that stuff. They've been awesome at it for years, and then they do that. Oh, it was disappointing. It was disappointing to so many, and I'm not even alone in that. There were so many people that were disappointed with that trailer.
Scott, were you disappointed with that trailer?
The only thing I was interested in was Baldur's Gate 3 out of release date.
We'll discuss that later. Let's skip ahead and talk about Street Fighter 6. They showed two old characters and one new one. They showed Zangief, they showed Cammy, and they showed a new character named Lily.
What's old is new? Zangief and Cammy have pants for the first time ever. And quite frankly, I think that Zangief has been boring to me for the 28 years that he's been around in Street Fighter 2. They actually made me want to play Zangief in Street Fighter 6. He looked awesome. Zangief was always just muscles and anger in all of the old games. That's like his two biggest plot points, is muscles and anger. He actually had showmanship. Like, they leaned way hard into the pro wrestling aspect of him in this one. He actually had, showmanship.
They're leading to the pro wrestling thing on every character, it seems like.
Like, this man had swagger. He, lifts the there's a spot where, he does his super, and he lifts the opponent up in the air, and he, mugs for the camera and goes, jackhammer! And then does the jackhammer throw, and it's that is the kind of shit I'm here for.
Okay.
His super where he, gets ready to do the atomic buster and then just gives the guy a disrespectful kick in the ribs right before he does it. Do
you think maybe Ed Boon visited the offices one day?
There is so much style in Street Fighter 6. It's oozing out of every character, every facet of this game, and I love it. It's so good that they made a character that is boring and difficult to play as Zangief. I actually want to give him a go on day one just to see what I can do with him, because he looks fun.
We're also going to talk about Sony was basically showing off their PS4 VR2 titles. One of them is Before Your Eyes, which comes out on May 10th. Then Foglands and Green Hell. Before Your Eyes is actually a webcam game. I don't know if you know it, in which you have to stare into your web camera, and every time you closes your eyes, it moves you forward through your life, because basically you're watching your life flash before your eyes before you die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a lot of people that have loved Before Your Eyes and think it's one of the better indie games to have come out in a few years.
The problem with it is that it is also very fidgety, and it'll think you moved your eyes when you didn't move your eyes. So hopefully the PSVR 2 fixes that issue, that it doesn't, think you close your eyes when you didn't.
I actually reviewed the PSVR 2 this last week, and its eye tracking is an impeccable feature.
Okay,
they did a very good job with it.
So maybe Before Your Eyes will be improved by that.
Yeah, I think so. One of the more interesting of the ones we saw in that showcase of PSVR games was what is it? Journey to Foundation, which is apparently based on an Isaac Asimov series.
Okay. Well, the Foundation series is the name of his series.
Right. And this one's just called Journey to Foundation, which is based off of that series from what I understand.
I think it's actually an actual book.
It's supposed to be a space action RPG in which like it gave me some like the Outer Worlds vibes, but without all the corporate snark.
No, it's the Journey to Foundation is original title. It's going to be based on all the books.
Yeah, it looked fun. It looked interesting. I like space stuff in VR because it gives us an opportunity to interact with like technology that doesn't exist in our time.
Right.
It looks like it's going to be a good time, and it looks like it's going to be interesting to like interact with and play with and shoot. Like we'll have all sorts of hi-fi space tech shooties. I love that stuff.
I don't know what to make of the Foglands. It reminds me of the Secret World MMO in a way.
Yeah,
that was based on Cthulhu. This one is a lot of maybe Slender Man because the main character looks like Slender Man.
I like revolvers in VR as well. They're such a fun interactive weapon in VR.
Want to talk about the Lightfall DLC actually came out, I think, right? Because I heard that people are having problems with it because
the patch is out today, but the actual expansion comes out tomorrow.
Okay. I know that people are having troubles downloading it, or something wrong was going on with it. I think they got overwhelmed by downloads.
I could see that because there's a lot of people invested in that game, and they're probably taxing their servers trying to get it out to everybody.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the way Resident Evil 4 remake. They showed some gameplay.
Yeah, the gameplay looked good too, but like they finally showed Krauser, which is one thing that a lot of folks were nervous about because Krauser's scenes in Resident Evil 4 are considered some of the weakest parts of the game. He looked less buff and cartoonish in the remake, which I guess that's like par for the course with a lot of stuff.
Well, they're working with a palette that's more than 256 colors now.
Yeah, but even then, it looked like they slimmed him down and made his face a little bit more like realistic, and he just looks like a normal soldier dude as opposed to like the cartoonishly muscular angry man that was in the original.
I just hope they keep the campiness.
Yeah, same. More importantly, they announced they finally confirmed that the Mercenaries extra mode is going to be coming back to Resident Evil 4 remake. Yeah. Which everybody loves the Mercenaries. It's one of those things like that people have latched onto since they did it so well in Resident Evil 4 the first time. It's a mode in which you pick one of the characters that appears in the game. Like in the original, they had Leon, Ada, Wesker, Krauser, and Hunk. And it's just you survive for as long as you can against wave after wave of zombies, and see if you can rack up as many points as possible. I like it. It's cool, and it's fun to see that it'll be coming back to the remake because it adds more replayability to that game.
So humanity. I want them to know that the reason why Lemmings was so charming was that they were cartoonish things. Like, you didn't mind if you said, oh, screw this, I'm going to finish it, I'm going to make their heads explode and try again. Humanity is horrifying.
I trust Enhance. They do a lot of good work. They made Res Infinite and they made Tetris Effect.
Yeah, it's fucking horrifying. They're using actual people for lemmings.
Yeah, they also give them little lightsabers.
It's just
that
so
game was
disturbing.
That game was all sorts of things. It looked
all sorts of creepiness. That's what I'm saying.
I want to play it. I want to see how it goes because like Enhance has some really good and interesting concepts.
Yeah, I'm just picturing this is where the logical extension of what was happening inside.
Maybe
plate heads inside. This is inside to the nth degree.
There were no cute celestial corgis in inside.
Yeah, well, there's no giant testicle monsters in humanity either, but still, it's
that we've
creepy.
seen so far.
Oh dear God, there are golden robots.
Yeah.
Actually, that sort of reminds me of At the World's End a little bit, but still, it is just friggin' creepy.
It looks very odd, but I'm way interested because of Enhance. I love Enhance.
Listen to this. Play a lone Shiba Inu charged with commanding massive marching crowds to the goal and store. They're fucking Pikmin.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about Pikmin is that Pikmin are not people. There's a reason why the Miyamoto. Did Miyamoto make Pikmin? There's a reason why Miyamoto didn't choose to make them people.
We'll see what happens. Like I'm into the game. I think it's supposed to be purgatory. I have no idea.
On the opposite scale, you have Tachia, which is a pretty physics-driven sandbox. It's like Sony said, okay, well, it's not done by Sony, but sort of like someone said, okay, we saw what Grounded did. Let's make something that's cuter and more friendly and open and less spiders. I think it's multi-platform. I know it's going to be on Steam.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be. I think it's going to be consoles and on Steam right now. I don't know if it's going to be on older consoles, but I do know that it's going to be at the very least PS5 and Xbox Series X.
You know what?
I think it was first shown on an Xbox showcase.
Did it? I don't remember. I will say this: at least you get to play your own ukulele.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looks fun. It looks charming.
Wayfarer. The demo's out now. Wayfinder, I'm sorry. Wayfinder, the demo's out now.
I don't remember this one from the...
Oh, I remember it. It's yet another Monster Hunter sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
I think. It just gives me that vibe of Monster Hunter.
It's okay. Airship Syndicate, huh? Oh, it's from Digital Extremes is publishing it.
Yeah.
The folks who do Warframe.
Yep.
And Airship Syndicate, who did Battle Chasers Night War.
They did in Ruined King, too. Did the Ruined King as well.
Yeah. That would be interesting, maybe. I don't know.
This might be interesting, maybe. They did Darksiders Genesis, too, by the way. I know, the bad one. Let's not talk about Naruto versus... Okay, I don't really care. Finally, we'll talk about Baldur's Gate 3 is finally getting a release date, August 31st. It's going to be on PC, PS4, and PS5. And there is a lot of discussion of why it's not on the Xbox Series X. It's because the Xbox Series S can't handle it.
So one of the biggest things about it is that they're doing couch co-op again, where two players can take on a separate
that was always
character.
the plan. That was always the plan. Yeah.
Did they confirm couch co-op on? I know they. Well, I don't know. I know they had co-op on PC. I don't know if they had local.
Oh no. Yeah. So I would imagine couch co-op could be on console. Yeah.
But
although
yes, that was a
Steam Deck. Maybe they're doing it because of Steam Deck too.
Well, that was the biggest thing, though, is that, to me anyways, is that you put this game on PS5, I want to be able to play. Me and Sam are already playing through Divinity Original Sin 2 and playing a couch co-op campaign through that. And I was like, I guess we're going to have to wait for it to see if Baldur's Gate comes to console eventually. And then they dropped this news, and I'm like, yay! Because not only do we get to play the game, we get to play it together, and we get to play a full campaign through it. As each our own character.
Yeah, so let's talk back about the Xbox. There's now been a lot of discussion if the Xbox Series S is holding back the Xbox Series X.
And
actually, let me put it this way. It was a conversation like 2 years ago. Now it's revived again.
And Larian Studios stepped forward themselves to say that there's nothing devious at play. There's no exclusivity deals. It's simply that they are having trouble getting the local co-op to work on Xbox, and they need more time to get it ready.
It's fine. I mean, I have it on Steam. I don't know if it's Baldur's Gate 3 always seemed like a PC game to me. It's sort of like, and console too, sort of like Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I will say that Divinity Original Sin 2 plays very well on a gamepad.
Well, like I said, you have the Steam Deck now, so I'm pretty sure that they're ramping up the ability to do it on a PC as well.
Yeah.
Blumhouse's new gaming division will focus on indie budget games. This comes from PC Gamer. Blumhouse, the production studio behind legendary films like Get Out, Megan, and Tooth Fairy starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Why would they include that one? That's like 10 years old, isn't it? Is getting into video games. New company's new division, Blumhouse Games, will partner with independent game developers to bring their creative vision to life via original horror-themed games. The new games division will focus on indie budget titles, which translates to. Oh, by the way, wait a minute, Scott, was there anything you wanted to talk about Baldur's Gate 3?
I'm just glad that it's finally coming out of early access and has an official release date, and looking forward to seeing what their final product looks like.
What did you think of the trailer?
It looked good. I'm glad Minsk is in the game.
The new games division will focus on indie budget titles, which translates to games with a budget of under $10 million, in keeping with its spirit of its film business. Oh, yeah. Blumhouse. I'll make the commentary right after. The company has named Zach Wood, who has games like Ho Ho Come, Twisted Metal, and Prey Mooncrash under his belt as president, and ex-Sony finance and operations executive John Schechtler as CFO. Blumhouse says it will focus on original games, but it doesn't mean its own stable of horror properties is off limits. Yeah, a budget under $10 million, that's basically what they do with all their films, too. Blumhouse loves to make blockbusters and cheapo horror films and all that stuff, so I'm not surprised that they would want to, make games that are low budget, because that's what they do. And this isn't the first film production company, because Annapurna has been doing this for a while now. And you can tell an Annapurna game because it'll always have a strong script, really good voice actors, and gameplay, ? Like, give me an example. The Artful Escape is one of their games. So it's 12 minutes. Was it 10 minutes or 12 minutes was the game?
12 minutes.
Okay, 12 minutes, right. So you had people like Daisy Ridley in 12 minutes, So, Blumhouse. Yeah. Jason Blum, what's to say? But I actually am interested in this because, you could always have another Devolver Digital.
Yeah. I mean, or as you, they have access to a lot of resources and can put together a lot of interesting stuff the way that Annapurna does. That's one of the things that gives Annapurna so much power is that it's so much more than video games. They have access to a ton of
they're an indie film company, yeah.
And actresses and resources. And I have to imagine that Blumhouse will use their resources in a similar manner.
I know, you'll have people like Ian Zierling or oh God, what was the name of Casper Van Dien? But the thing is that what I would like Blumhouse to do would be what Annapurna does, and that is, look for developers who are making games and say, oh, that looks good, we'll back you. I don't know if you know this, but The Artful Escape was a Kickstarter project that failed badly. Annapurna came in and said, we like what you're doing there. Here's the money. Go do it.
I mean,
I'm glad, because I would have never wanted to miss The Artful Escape. That was a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, Scott? I was wondering if they were going to team with other indie developers, or are they going to?
Oh, no, they're a publishing house. They're going to, be finding games to publish.
So there's definitely a lot of indie groups out there. I know it's like Zoji Games is doing a new Shadow Gate game or Kickstarter, and
I think it's going to be even smaller than that. Stuff like Ape Escape, in which they're going out for individual developers, and see what they're working on, and they say, we like that. We'll hire you a team of maybe like 10 other people, and you can make this indie game for us. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I know there's Frost who did Rise of Third Power, and then Matthias Lind for Chained Echoes, so those might be good ones.
Imagine a game based on Megan.
That would be delightfully creepy.
Yeah, it looked very creepy.
I mean, they make games like The Black Box, and Dark Skies, and The Deep House, all these cheesy horror films. But you know what? I'm going to tell you. Oh, wait. I just realized. It would make a perfect video game. It sucks as a movie series. But as a video game, Paranormal Activity.
Oh, yeah.
That's basically Five Nights at Freddy's, really. Oh, no, wait. I just remembered. You know what other film they made that I think people are begging. As a matter of fact, I think people were begging for this when they heard that Blumhouse was going to make horror films. Can you imagine a video game based on The Purge? Because the movie is a video game unto itself.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon based on the way that they're talking about the games they want to make, but like that, imagine if Saber Interactive, and specifically the team that did the Evil Dead game, got their hands on a Purge game.
Yeah. They also have one particular director that they use over and over and over again. That's Rob Zombie. Imagine Rob Zombie making a video game. The Lords of Salem, the video game.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Get Out. Let's make a game based on Get Out. Or Oculus. Hey, Oculus could be a really evil version of Myst.
Yeah, it really could. Like, I'm curious to see what they do with their properties and how they handle this. It'll be very interesting to see if they do if they go the Annapurna route or if they get a little bit more action intensive or do, I don't know. Like,
make a video game version of Happy Death Day. Do it.
I'm very curious to see how they. I'm very curious to see what their opening move is and what their opening games will be.
Like I said, it's nice to have developers like Annapurna and Devolver Digital. These studios that look for way off the beaten path games, which are really, really fun, but would never get published. Like Ape Out. Who would make that? Who would publish that? Only Devolver Digital would publish that. And only Annapurna would do stuff like 12 minutes and the after Artful Escape. Anyways, we're gonna move on. Scott, take the next one.
Okay. Game-breaking Legend of Dragoon bugs are ruining the classic JRPG's return. This is from Games Radar. Sony's beloved PS1 JRPG Legend of Dragoon is finally making its long-awaited return on modern consoles, but while fans are ready to celebrate game-breaking bugs and glitches are spoiling the party. Legend of the Dragoon was a late-era PS1 role-playing game from Sony's first-party Japan studio. The game saw mixed reception at launch, failing to measure up to the broad appeal of Final Fantasy games coming around at the same time, but it eventually found its fans and took on a cult classic status. Fans were excited to finally see Legend of Dragoon revived as part of the PS Plus February lineup. The excitement built as players learned the game would feature trophy support and it would be available for standalone purchase, not just as part of the PS Plus subscription. Sony even did the right thing by giving the game away for free to people who already bought it on PS3, PSP, and Vita. The excitement's all coming crashing down now that players have actually had a chance to play the game. There are visual glitches like odd pixel lines, audio bugs that are cutting voice lines short, threads running down, all the bugs are starting to coalesce, and it does not paint a rosy picture for the version's playability. Even worse, using Dragoon Magic, one of the game's core combat mechanics, consistently causes battles to lock up. You can technically still beat a battle with a spell by using it at the very end, but then you're going to get stuck in inescapable black screen. It seems this is mostly a problem with multi-target Dragoon Magic, but trying to figure out which spells will and won't crash your game is no way to play an RPG. For now, players are hopeful for a patch, but the first impression for this release has not lived up to the expectation of retro fans, and that really is very disappointing to hear. I wish Sony could take care of RPG fans better than they do.
So there is some news on this as of today.
Yeah, they sent out a patch about 8 hours ago for PS4 and PS5. The major problems. I don't know if it takes care of all the problems. I hope it takes care of the game-breaking problems, though.
My understanding is that they patched up and got rid of the soft locks that were happening, so that now the game can be played without a issue of the game freezing up. Yeah, like Legend of Dragoon is surprising in and of itself to see get new life on PlayStation Plus, but I'm glad that they took the time to patch it up and make it better, because
I wonder if it's sort of like a test to see what the interest would be in a remake or just a reboot.
Yeah, it would be extremely fun to see this game get some sort of remaster or reboot, because it was one of the more interesting and outlandish RPGs of its time. The combo attack system, and then like the transformation system. There was so many cool things in this game that no other RPGs were doing when it came out, and it withstood the test of time and still has a lot of fans. I'm one of them. I love this game. I played it. I still had. No, wait, I don't have my copy anymore.
No.
But,
you know what's really weird is that they never released a patch notes. So what happens is on the Reddit, they've been talking about what's been fixed. Like the audio bugs have been resolved, the blue visual glitches are gone. Someone said, can confirm, updated, and use Final Burst, Blossom Storm, and Astral Drain in a row, no soft lock.
Yeah. That was part of the problem, is that the games, like the magic when you're in Dragoon form on any of the characters was really taxing the game.
I think, the patch fixed up a lot of stuff really fast. So I'm wondering if there wasn't some line of code or some lines of code that were corrupted that was causing this, and all it was basically looking for the corrupted lines. Doesn't seem like there's it doesn't seem like there was a porting problem or what I'm talking about. Something that was, you're transferring a game from PS3 or whatever to PS4, PS5, and you have problems because the hardware is incompatible. It seems like there was just maybe a problem in the code that is easily fixed, like switching a button from 1 to 0.
Yeah, and like I'm seeing all across Twitter, people have been playing the game since this patch came out, and a lot of people are reporting that the issues that they were having before were gone. So,
and it's really nice that they. I'm sorry. I just want to say it's really nice that they decided to sell the game instead of having you to sign up to PlayStation Plus just to get it. It's like just a game you can purchase.
Mm-hmm. Which is very cool. I actually might end up picking this one up eventually. I like this game a lot.
But did you get it on PS3, Vita, or PSP? Because it'll remember that you owned it and you can get it for free.
Nah, I didn't get it on any of those systems. I had the original copy for a long time.
See, pop in your PS1 disc and see what happens. Can you imagine if it said, "Oh, I recognize this. I'm downloading the game for you." That's what the 360 does. The Xbox does when you put in a 360 game or Xbox game. It's like, "Oh, I recognize this. Downloading it for you." It's really sad that so many games are now delisted. Do we talk about this? That there's a whole list of Xbox 360 games that are now delisted and you can't buy anymore. Honestly,
that is a shame.
Yeah.
You can download them, but on the other hand, some of them are like Portal 2. It's like, you can get the Xbox One version. But there's a lot of let's see, here it is. 46 of them are being delisted. And, like the Assassin's Creed games, who cares because they have remasters. But what really annoys me, Blue Dragon is being delisted.
Yeah.
I don't care if Dark Souls is delisted. Jet Set Radio is being delisted. And by the way, these were delisted like 2 weeks ago, so don't even bother trying to get them before they do it. I mean, a lot of them are no law. You could just get elsewhere, but KOTOR 2 is delisted.
Yeah, it's a big bummer.
And Plus is delisted. That's depressing. Counter-Strike Go being delisted is not a bummer. It's like, finally. I mean, no one's going to care if Dark Souls is delisted because guess what? You can get the remastered version. Some of these games you'll never be able to get, like Age of Swing. Do you know Age of Swing?
Yes.
So for those who don't know, Age of Swing was a free XBLA game that was released early in XBLA, not at launch, but basically what it was a bunch of Microsoft employees who were making their own shooter, their own bullet hell shooter, horizontal shooter. And Microsoft said, yeah, let's just release it for free for people to enjoy. It was a nice little gift. If something like Limbo is delisted, who cares? But Lost Odyssey was delisted, which is depressing.
Yeah.
I bought Lost Odyssey. I still have it on my system. I have yet to actually play it past the first part. And everybody keeps on telling me how great that game is.
It's a good one. I like that one, and I like there's another one that came soon after it from the same group of people called
Mistwalker. Yeah, it was Blue Dragon. Yeah.
No, not that one.
Oh.
The Last Remnant.
Eternal Sonata.
No, The Last Remnant.
Oh, okay. I haven't played Eternal Sonata in a while. I want to play that again.
The Last Remnant was really dope and had a very interesting combination of strategy and JRPG style.
Did you play Eternal Sonata?
No, I didn't.
I played it.
It's a depressing game.
I like the combat though.
You're playing Chopin on his deathbed, and the entire game is his death dreams. And in the middle of each thing, the game stops and starts talking about certain pieces, like talking about how he made the Raindrop Prelude, and it was because he was in the Bahamas, and he was there to improve his tuberculosis. Unfortunately, it was raining all the time, which only made it worse, and the sound of the rain just made him depressed. So he made the Raindrop Prelude. It is a very depressing game. I know it's great combat, yes, Scott, but still.
Yeah, like you said, it has a depressing mood.
Did either of you ever play Blue Dragon?
Play what? Blue Dragon? No.
Oh, you got to play that. That is Blue Dragon is almost a parody of JRPGs. It's a great game, but it's like Mistwalker took all the cliches, and put it in one game. I will say this, though. There's a plot twist in the middle of the game, which I did not see coming. Some good humor in it, too. If you ever get any way to play Blue Dragon, do it. They actually released a version of Blue Dragon on the DS, too. Microsoft did, that is. And Blue Dragon was one of the only games to really sell Xbox 360s. People bought Xbox 360s just to play Blue Dragon. Japan. Look for our show notes at gamingpodcast.net, along with industry news and our gaming history articles. You can enjoy feedback, comments on our blog at gamingpodcast.net. Also, hit us up at facebook.com/gamingpodcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes comments. You can find me on Twitter at Jonah Falcon.
You can find me at Johnny Chugs.
You can find me at Charlotte Moore.
We'll see if Twitter still exists by next week.
Yep.
You're just going down. Like, what's going wrong with Twitter this week? Anyways, we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Happy gaming, everyone.
Have fun. Be cool. Play games, y'all.